So my topic is that about politics, international relations, and economy. So I'm going to talk about a cultural phenomenon, which significantly, I believe, helps the CCP's patriotic education and the nationalist movement, which, as we all know, have been used as a very strong pillar for the CCP's legitimacy. Well, the title is The Yellow Race Rises, Race and Identity in Post-Mao China. The title is, I got the inspiration from a title of a popular patriotic song. The song is simply titled The Yellow Race, created in 2003 in China. It was particularly customized for a very popular pop star in China, who originated from Hong Kong. And because of the success of that popular patriotic song, the lyricist simply, he created the second song, simply titled The Yellow. Okay, so the lyrics goes, I just pick up something from the lyrics. The yellow race marched on the earth, and after 5,000 years, finally, it's a time for us to show up on the global stage. So anyway, so that is the origin of my title, and I'm supposed to write a book on the subject, and I'm in the stage of starting composing chapters. So in this presentation or in this project, it's hard to say for me. I try to argue that since the 1980s, as nationalism grew stronger, a set of kind of symbiotic, racialized ideas began to be articulated and popularized. And they have been used as something very important in identifying Chineseness. How can we say you are Chinese or not? So there is a set of very much racialized concepts. I have to watch my time. So I got time until
42.
Until 1:42?
No, I'm sorry. 2 minutes past the hour.
Okay, all right. So, okay, thank you. So, then let me just go with my notes. So this set of racialized ideas in identifying Chinese has become a unifying kind of element in the official patriotic education and the patriotic mobilization. But essentially, this racialized Chineseness is a hand construct, is a hand-centered exclusively. So it poses a dilemma to the regime. On the one hand, this Chineseness is very powerful propaganda organizational tool. It's very useful. But on the other hand, it hurts, or it will hurt the ethnic relations already, in very much problematic, as we all know, between the Han ethnicity and the non-Han people. So it poses this kind of Chineseness identity, poses a dilemma to the Chinese regime. So in principle, they does not allow this type of discourse to appear in very official policy statement, not allowed. But in propaganda, in education, and especially in public culture as broadly defined, okay, you see this type of discourse is very pervasive. Okay. So I'm going to talk about how I define this racialized Chineseness, and then I will show you a little bit about how this discourse relates itself or interact with the society and particularly the CCP regime. Okay. But before I go any further, I'd like to clarify the concept of racism, particularly among Chinese. Okay, I feel this urge because many times when I talk about my current research project to my Chinese friends, my Chinese relatives back in China or here, many of them got confused. And some of them saying, are you saying we Chinese racists? Are you out of mind? So I mean, for many, not just Chinese, for many, what is racism? Racism is discrimination, it's segregation, it's apartheid, right? It's Holocaust, right? Or ethnic cleansing, slavery. So these are racism. So in other words, racism is often perceived as institution, state policy, right? But essentially, if you, I mean, racism originates from ideas, from concepts. So I mean, if you read Rudyard Kipling's The White Man's Bird, he does not single out any particular non-Western race to discriminate against. He just elevates the white man's sense of superiority, right? So, I mean, in Adolf Hitler's Mein Kampf and the Japanese discourse of Yinghong Cheng. So you read these documents, you don't see any particular or a lot of particular non-German, non-Western. I mean, Jews is another issue. So basically, they elevate their own sense of superiority. They are using a biological, natural, pseudoscientific, cultural, historical discourse to justify their hegemony, right? So if we agree upon that, then I think there is a part of racialized stuff within the contemporary framework of Chinese nationalism. So now, what is this racialized Chinese identity? So let me so this racialized Chinese is a sum, is a number of several physical, biological, and mystical factors. Okay, the first one is 2 blacks and 1 yellow, which means black eyes, black hair, and yellow skin. That is the physical marker for China, for Chinese coined in Taiwan in 1978 in a pop song responding to an identity crisis caused by the U.S. Switch of its diplomatic recognition from Taipei to Beijing. But later, the song was popularized in China. Today, it is a pan-Chinese patriotic song. The second is Chinese heart and the Chinese blood. That is an elusive but more innate Chineseness. Invented in Hong Kong in 1983, also in a pop song responding to an identity anxiety triggered by the negotiation on Hong Kong's future between London and Beijing. But the phrase later became popular in the mainland because today in Hong Kong nobody still uses that. Okay, so but it was picked up by the Chinese CCP regime. So these two things, 2 blacks and 1 yellow, and the Chinese heart and the Chinese blood, they symbolized the power and the role of pop culture in creating and popularizing this type of racialized Chinese. There were perhaps, not just dozens, perhaps hundreds of those patriotic songs created in the last 3 decades. Mainly in mainland China, but also from Hong Kong and Taiwan. Okay, they all, I mean, not every word, not every line of the lyrics, but many lyrics contain very much racialized concepts. They all refer to colors, 2 blacks and 1 yellow, the ancestor, and the soil, the natural environment. The natural environment, the yellow river, they believe there is a kind of mystic kind of relationship between the yellow river, the yellow soil, and the yellow skin. So that is a natural endowment. So we Chinese, I mean, the point is we talk about the Chinese uniqueness, right? Now, culturally and historically and racially, what is the root of this Chinese uniqueness? We talk about the political system, right? But I think there is a deeply rooted kind of sense of Chinese uniqueness that is biological. That is a combination of biological, natural, pseudoscientific, and cultural and historic. Okay, that is a complex of many things. And then descendants of Yan and Huang emperors, Yan Huang Sun. So that is a perceived racial and ethnic lineage stemming from the legendary tribal leaders of Han people some 6,000 years ago. It is now synonymous to Chinese in public usage, in public perception. Okay? If you go to China, along the Yellow River, on the bank of the Yellow River, you will see some huge stone statues of Yan Di and the Yan Emperor and the Huang Emperor. They are worshipped. And the local government, the provincial government would host some ritual ceremonies every spring to honor the perceived ancestor of Chinese people. A pervasive dragon worship. Dragon is perceived to be the divine, totemic animal god patronizing China, and the descendants of the dragon is also synonym to the Chinese today. So I mean, I went to the Chinatown here yesterday. Even here you see the huge signs of dragon, on the wall and across the street there is something. Okay, so and also yellow as the ethno symbol color used to describe the race, the skin, the soil, the river, and the imperial legacy, with connotation of Genesis, a life-giving color for Chinese people, for Chinese nation. It particularly colors political symbols on flags and the emblems of the nation, I mean the national flag, the party, the army, the youth league, and the young communist pioneers. If you look at the map, the flags or emblems of those political organizations, you will see there are two colors, the red and the yellow. The red is communism revolution, the yellow is for Chinese people. And Zheng Liansong, the designer of the Chinese national flag, way back in 1949, he created that image. And in 2009, when he was interviewed, and he said, well, the yellow is revolution. I mean, the red represents revolution. The yellow is the color of Chinese people. Okay, so, and then there is a Peking Man as our ancestor. That is believed that different from the global out of Africa scenario, the Chinese directly and independently evolved from Homo erectus some 500,000 years ago. And the so-called Peking Man has been venerated as such an ancestor. Okay, how could it be? Well, the site of Peking Man, the archaeological site of Peking Man, has been honored as one of 100 nationwide bases for patriotic education by the CCP Center. It's one of the 100 nationwide things. Okay, in 2008, when Beijing was hosting the Olympics, one of those torch relay start mine was chosen as the in the Zhoukou. So if you Google, you will see the images. Actors and actresses, okay, dressed like they were half naked, dressed like primitive people. So they lit up the torch and gave it to a very senior-looking, scientist-looking person. I would guess he's an archaeologist, and he passed that torch to the runners. So which tells you that the Chinese civilization has a history of 500,000 years. And our race is pure. Because they are our ancestors, right? It tells you that our race stock is very pure. Okay, while most people around the world, you have been mixed up, right? Okay, now in 2010, there was a drama put on stage in Beijing. The drama tells the story of a Peking Man's patriarch who sacrificed himself to save his people. Because, the story goes like this: in a very bad winter, they got nothing to eat. So the patriarch literally threw himself into the bonfire to let his people to eat his barbecued flesh to survive. So the advertisement line for that drama is "Thank you, our ancestor." Okay, so there has been a debate ever since the beginning of the People's Republic of China, or even earlier than that. Many Chinese nationalists tend to believe that their ancestors are different from. We have a story different from out of Africa. We have our own. And many Chinese still cannot believe they and the Africans today share the same Homo sapiens ancestor. They couldn't believe that. They couldn't accept that. All right, so well, I have a couple minutes. Now, so I think I finished the explanation what these racialized Chinese is. And then how does this discourse interact with the society? My time only allows me to focus on one aspect. What is the Chinese government attitude towards this discourse? In general, as I said, they don't like the idea, the language of very explicitly racialized words. They would reject that, at least in their official documents, the policy statement. There's no place for these things. What they can accept is the descendants of the Yan and the Huang emperors. Okay, so the phrase began to become popular in early 1980s. Okay, after the Cultural Revolution. Okay, so in 1983, a member of Chinese People's Political Consultative Congress, who himself is a Hui Chinese, wrote a letter to the CCP's center. In the letter, he says, "Today I have read and heard too many times of emperors Yan and Huang. I don't think that's correct, and I don't think that's appropriate." Blah blah blah. And then in the next year, the CCP center issues a directive which says, well, domestically we will restrict the use of Yan and Huang emperors. But the phrase sounds very attractive to Taiwanese and overseas Chinese. So internationally we will still use that. And then since the mid-1980s, there were a couple of very hot debates among the top Chinese leaders because some ethnic representatives in the People's Congress, they complained about this. They say these phrases, literally exclude us. We are not happy with. Otherwise, we are not Chinese, right? So I think a couple years, there are a number of debates, okay? But a couple years ago, finally, a couple of Chinese government central agencies issued a document. Literally says we cannot use that. Yan and Huang emperors. Doesn't matter. Government document, newspapers, or pop culture, let's not use that. But it's pervasive today. And worse than that, because the yellow race is much worse, more racialized than the Yan and Huang emperors. Okay. I think I just got my time limit, so let me just stop here. Thank you very much.